Good morning. Am I audible? Good. Okay. So we are starting with the prayer.
भेद भाव अपने दिल से साफ कर सके, दोस्तों से भूल हो तो माफ कर सके, झूठ से बचे रहे, सच कदम भरे, खुद को जय करे, हमको मन की शक्ति देना, मुश्किलें पड़े तो हम पर हित न कर्म कर, साथ दे तो धर्म का, चले तो धर्म पर, खुद पे हौसला रहे, बदी से ना डरे, दूसरों की जय से पहले खुद को जय करे, हमको मन की शक्ति देना।
Good morning, all. Giving tribute to our great master Samuel Hahnemann, who have founded this divine science for all of us and teach us dare to be wise. Seeking blessings from our Guru, Dr. Prafull Vijayakar sirs, who have bridged this divine science with the modern medicines and made homeopathy easy like mathematics. Jai Hahnemann, Jai Homeopathy, Om Vijayakar Namah. So, friends, we are in the journey of learning and reading Organon, the wisdom of Organon from Samuel Hahnemann, and the connections of the modern science with the homeopathy by Vijay sir. So, up till now, we have concluded the theoretical part of the Organon up to 70 aphorisms. In this aphorism, we have understood about the disease, what is the health, and then how the homeopathy far better than the other mode of treatment like the allopathy or allopathy. So, and how our medicine work, the modus operandi of homeopathy. Now, the more practical part is coming from the aphorism number 71. So, we are starting with the practical organon, and that is the practical part of the organon which we are utilizing in our day-to-day practice. So, how this wisdom of Master Hahnemann help us to understand our case with this practicality. So, starting with the aphorism number 71. Yes, it is now no longer a matter of doubt that the disease of mankind consists merely of a group of certain symptoms and may be annihilated and transformed into health by medicinal substance, but only by such are as capable of artificially producing similar morbid symptoms, and such is the process in all genuine cure. Hence, the operation of curing is comprised in the three following points. This is what Master Hahnemann is telling, that there is no doubt. The only thing is pure disease is the group of certain symptoms, which is annihilated and transformed into health by the substance which produce the disease. So, and in curing this process, what you need to know that is the process called as 3 point. How is the physician to ascertain what is necessary to cure, known in order to cure the disease? The first point is how is the physician to ascertain what is necessary to be known in order to cure the disease? So, first and foremost thing is to understand what is to be cured in disease. So in aphorism number 3, we have seen that the physician require a certain knowledge, the knowledge of the disease, the knowledge of the medicine, the knowledge of the choice of the remedy, knowledge of the applications of the medicine to the case. So that is what the things, the first point is what is to be cured in the disease first. Second point, how is he to gain a knowledge of instrument adapted for the cure of a natural disease, the pathogenetic power of medicine. This is what the second point is, the understanding the pathogenetic power or the power of our homeopathic medicines, how it works and how it is found in the drug proving. And the third, what is the most suitable method of employing this artificial morbific agent, medicine, for the cure of natural disease? So that is what we consider as the approach to each and every cases. So this is what the master is telling us in this aphorism number 71, that first and foremost is you decide the destination. The destination means what is to be cured in the disease. Second, you decide the route map. That is what, and the things which you have to go by that destination. So that is what you have to understand the medicine's power. And the third is approach. How you reach to that destination is the method, is the process by which you can reach to your destination. So this is the thing, three things keep in mind in the necessity for the curing the patients. Now, starting with the first point, that aphorism number 72, with respect to the first point, that is the knowledge of the disease. The following will serve as the general preliminary view. So this is what Hahnemann has given an idea in a general form, not in a particular form. So that help us to understand that the how we have to make understand of the patient and the disease in terms. So the disease to which the men are liable, either rapid morbid process of abnormally deranged vital force, which have a tendency to finish their course more or less quickly, but always in a moderate time, and these are termed as acute disease. The first point is to understand that what is to be cured in the disease. Do we are dealing with the acute disease or do we are dealing with the chronic disease. So that is what the first point to be noted. This is the acute disease, which having a rapid process, tendency to finish their course more or less quickly and in a moderate time. Or they are the disease of such a character that with a small, often imperceptible beginning, dynamically derange the living organism, each in its own peculiar manner, and cause gradually to deviate gradual from the healthy conditions in such a way that the automatic life energy called vital force, whose office is to preserve the health, that is, our defense system has to preserve the health that is maintaining, only opposite to them at the commencement means a physiological process, and during their progress, the imperfect, unsuitable, useless resistance, but is unable of itself to extinguish them, but must helplessly suffer them to spread and itself to be ever more and more abnormally deranged until at length the organism is destroyed. These are termed as chronic disease. They are caused by infections with the chronic miasm. So this is what the things to be distinguished from the two things. Okay. Do we are dealing with the acute disease or do we are dealing with the chronic disease? So acute disease are the rapid, fast and quickly, more or less quickly finish the course. Is it a temporary and a moderate in time? Whereas in a chronic disease, it is an imperfect, imperceptible beginning, gradually, and its progress gradually to destroy the organism. So these are the things you have to keep in mind that two things has to be treated. First, to divide the case into two categories. The patient is acute or patient is chronic. So unless and until we can understood this process, then and then our destination is decided. Once the destination is decided, we have to route map it, how to get these two destinations. And then we can understand that sorry, then and then we can understand how to approach the each and every cases. So this is what the things what wisdom of Master Hanuman is telling us that how to get. So first and foremost things again, what is to be understood in this cases also. So as regard to acute disease, now we have just divided two things that the disease comes to us is either acute one or the chronic one. Then if it is disease of acute one, what is the acute disease is? So this is what you have to divide it into this category. That is the wisdom of Master Hahnemann. Now, as regard to the acute disease, they are either of such a kind as attack, sorry, as regards the acute disease, they are either of such a kind as attack the human being individually. The exciting cause being injurious influence to which they were particularly exposed. So, what are the exciting cause? The excess in the food or an insufficient supply of it, severe physical impressions like a chill, overheating, dissipation, strains, etc., or physical irritations or mental or emotions, and the like are the exciting cause of such acute febrile affections. These are the fever. So, in reality, however, they are generally only a transient explosions of the latent sora. So this is what again you have to understand that the patient comes to us with the transient deviations of the health in terms of acute disease, mostly because of these are the excited cause, which spontaneously return to its dormant state. That means this disease goes into the recovery very fast, or in a modern term, it is said that the most of the viral disease having a self-limiting disorders and they end into recovery. So this is what they spontaneously return to its dormant state if the acute disease were not of too violent a character and were soon quelled. So this is what you have to keep in mind. A simple febrile affections which is not of too violent character are soon quelled and return to its spontaneous dormant state. So this is what a health is restored. So this is the one category of acute disease. Another category of the acute disease is they are of such a kind, means acute disease are of such a kind that attack several persons at the same time here and there. That means sporadically by means of the meteoric or the telluric influence and injurious agent. The susceptibility for being morbidly affected by which is possessed by only a few persons at one time. So this is what again in the sporadic disease all are not affecting because of this cosmic changes or some telluric or meteoric changes. So there are the persons who are affected during the new moon and full moon or some of the cosmic energy, those who go to the certain temple and get having the energy has been changed, those who go to the certain places and the energy has been changed, these are the sporadic because they are morbidly susceptible to that particular energy or vibrations, and that is what they are affected. This disease are called as the sporadic disease. And allied to this means again the first individual, second sporadic, the third one is this. Allied to this, those disease which many persons are attacked with a very similar suffering from the same cause, that is called epidemic, which we have experienced in the last few years of the COVID era. This disease generally become infectious or the contagious. So this is mostly because of contagion when they prevail among thickly congregated masses of the human being. Thence arises fever. So all this disease develop one thing is fever in each instance of the peculiar nature because the case of the disease have an identical origins. Identical means similar origin. They set up in all those they affect an identical morbid process. So those in the epidemic disease, they are suffering from the same identical symptoms, which when left to itself terminate in a moderate period of time, either into recovery or into death. So this is what we have seen in the COVID era, that many of the patients having a mild category of the COVID, moderate category of the COVID, and the severe category of the COVID. So those who are more susceptible to that, having a severe category, and they went into a death in a moderate period of time, or many of them are recover very easily with the mild and moderate disease. So this is what you have to understand in this, and all are suffering with the same identical symptoms. Sorry. This is because of some of the reason, that is the calamities of the war, the inundations and the famine are frequently their exciting cause and the producers. Sometimes they are peculiar acute miasm. So most of this acute miasm, that means the disease which is of a viral origin, which recurs in the same manner, hence known by some traditional name, which either attack persons but once in a lifetime. So many a time you have came across that once the person having a measles, lifetime he is immune to the measles virus and he didn't get a second attack. Or sometimes the person having a chicken pox, he may have another attack of chicken pox. This is what written in our medicine book, hence known by some traditional name, which either attack persons but once in a lifetime, as the smallpox, measles, whooping cough, the ancient smooth bright red scarlet fever of Sydenham, the mumps, etc., or such as recur frequently. Those are the frequent infectious disease. Because of this reason, they are called as acute recurring miasms and acute non-recurring miasm. That is what written in our organon book. But this is mostly a infectious disease, those disease which comes once in a lifetime, and having an immune system is working against that, and our immune system is understanding that now they no longer suffer from this. This is non-recurring, and those disease which have not. those who have a disease like plagues, a disease like a yellow fever, a disease like cholera, sea coast. These are the disease which is also arising from some of the infections and which may recur in their lifetime. So this is what you have to understand, that there are few diseases which recurs and there are few diseases which once in a lifetime having a great immune system. So these are called as acute disease. So the footnote 71 says that the homeopathic physicians who does not entertain the foregone conclusion devised by the ordinary school. Here, very important aspect that you have to this. Who have fixed upon a few names of such fever, besides which mighty nature dare not produce any other, so as to admit of their treating the disease according to the some fixed method, does not acknowledge the name gall fever, bilious fever, typhus fever, putrid fever, nervous fever, or a mucus fever, but treat them each according to their several peculiarities. So here, the very important aspect of this is to understand that our line of treatment is different than the ordinary school, same as our follow-up is also different than the ordinary school. So do not conclude your follow-up according to the ordinary school's methodology. That is what Master Hahnemann is warning us. So that is what the homeopathic physician who does not entertain the foregone conclusion devised by the ordinary school. This is very important because they have certain fixed principle and they are having the idea of giving a nomenclature to the disease, and that nomenclature gives the idea that this by giving the name to the disease and the treatment has been starting. But in homeopathy it is not like that. In homeopathy we have to treat the man in the disease, and by means of the peculiarities which we found during that disease, that is the treatment part of homeopathy. So this is what do not conclude according to the ordinary school. And in upper is a footnote number 72, which was subsequently in the year 1801, a kind of purpura miliaris which came from the west was by the physician confounded with the scarlet fever, notwithstanding with that exhibited totally different symptoms, that the latter found is prophylactic and curative remedy in belladonna, the former in aconite, and that the former was generally merely sporadic, while the latter was inevitably epidemic. Of late years, it seems as if the two occasionally join to form an eruptive fever of the peculiar kind, for which neither the one nor yet the other remedy alone will be found to be exactly homeopathic. So, this is what the conclusion by the experience of the masters. So, these are the few practical points. So, in this practical point, whenever the patient comes to you, you have to just understand what is to be cured in the disease, and that is what you have to divide the patient into two categories. That is, one is the patient is suffering from either an acute disease or the chronic disease, and then you have to identify if it is an acute disease, the exciting cause is the most important aspect of taking consideration into the case, whereas in a chronic cases, the chronic fundamental miasm, that is what we have learned in from this book of the miasm, that miasm is nothing but a body's genetic defense mechanism at the physiological and the morphological mechanism. And the physiological mechanism gives rise to homeostasis, whereas the morphological mechanism gives rise to a growth, and in the later state it may end into a destruction. So this is what you have to understand, that the miasmatic process. So, in this book of the end of my assumptions of the miasm by Dr. Prafull Vijayakar sir, we have up till now understood all the phenomenon of the process, that the miasm is nothing but a defense mechanism, and the disease is the representations of the defense mechanism. So, up till now we have learned the process, and we have concluded many things from this book. So hope you all understood this in a better way. And today we are concluding with these books, so that the idea of the sir, that my assumptions of miasm is now finished. That is the end. The same way everyone, those who are learning, the idea of the miasm is that it is nothing but it is our body's cellular defense mechanism, and we are knowing by the name of the disease, or we are knowing by the process which is running in the patient in the form of either three process: the physiological process, the constructive process, or the destructive process. So what we have to look into our patient with this compass of miasm, that we have to just need to understand the three process from the patient perspective, and according to that we have to treat that patient with this tool. So we have the last chapter of our conclusions, the miasm. So what the miasm is, as we all know, the miasm, the taint, are suggested by the Hahnemann, is not only confined to the disease productions in the human being, as we have seen that the miasm which we found in the nature also, the same way we have concluded that the role of the God. God means God. G means generations, O means organizations, and D means destroyer. So we also conclude that the nature also having a three process, and that is what the miasm. Even we have three God, the Brahma, Vishnu, and the Mahesh. So Brahma is the God of the creator, the Vishnu is the God of the organizations, and the Mahesh, the Lord Shiva, is the God of the destroyer. So we also conclude that it is not just confined to the disease process, but it is the process. Miasm is the process which is found in the nature also. So we have to see everywhere in this that the which the miasm is. It has much far-reaching consequences and a much broader meaning than anybody can ever imagine. The significance of the three stages of miasm can be seen in very existence of the man, animal, plant, or even the universe also. The three miasm, as we already discussed, are a defensive technique adopted for the survival by anything which exists from man to the universe. It is reflected in time also, it is reflected in speed also, it is reflected in culture and even in disease also. So you can see miasm everywhere, every places. So that is what, once you understood the miasm in the proper perspective, then and then you can find out that right now this era is something of the soric era, this era is something of the psychotic era, this era is something of the syphilitic era. So time, culture, disease, chronology is the couple of century before, right up to about 60 years back. This was a book written in 2003, almost published in 2003. So before the 60 years, so it means around the 1950 or 1940. So the couple of century before, the right up to about 60 years back, before the advent of the antibiotics and the vaccinations, the large number of the death occurred due to the infective and inflammatory disease. So people suffer more from the eczemas, deficiencies of the vitamin B complex, pellagra, or nutritional deficiency. And people died of the scarlatina, plague, pneumonia, measles, smallpox, etc. The tendency of that constitutions was more toward the inflammatory or the psoriatic disease. So Hahnemann therefore clubbed almost all disease in this into psora. The human race was then in the purely nutritive phase. Man was trying to survive to make a two-end meets. He was working and learning so that he will help the human race to the progress. There were not many inventions, but not many discovery. This was the Soric phase of the man, the Soric era. Now the 20th century shows the sudden spurt of the discoveries and the inventions. The era of the Einstein has come, the era of Stephen Hawking has come. So all the discovery has been started, invention has been started. So most of them change from Sora to psychosis. So inventions brought in the luxury, the machine invention brought in ease and the facility. So you say you have heard that Henry Ford has found something in 1905 or something else, so the car and everything. So this is what the machines and luxury and the facility comes into the play. So these are called as the psychosis, all of which led to the prosperity of the human race. Nearly all the inventions like the electricity, telephone, television, aeroplane, rocket, satellites, computer, etc. occurred during this period. The things were discovered to make life easy and enjoyable and allow man to dream to achieve the impossible. So this is something that is called as the creations of psychosis, and that is what psychosis is. Showmanship increased, cultures and moral went underground. Man prospered but become greedy for more money, more achievement, more knowledge, more enjoyment, more deceptions, more looseness of the character, causing adulteries and debauchery. So these are the things which is for the psychosis. The inventions of the vaccinations and antibiotic has changed the face of disease too. Initially, the infectious disease are there. Now, after the inventions of the antibiotic and everything, the infectious disease started getting reduced and the chronic disease started getting increasing. The infection were suppressed, the viral disease were suppressed, the antibiotic and vaccination suppressed the primary physiological defense of the man. He was not allowed to react on the skin due to usage of the ointment, nor allowed to suffer from any inflammatory disease. He had to survive. The genes started to adopt the second defense mechanism, the morphological and the constructive defense. To some extent, even the destructive defense tainted genes were on the up. So again in aphorism number 81, Hahnemann has indirectly mentioned about the genetic factor through the Mendelian theory of genetic was not discovered during the time of Hahnemann. In 1719, the Mendelian was not there. After it is found that the Mendelian was found that the theory of genetics. But it was Hahnemann's foresightedness and Hahnemann's wisdom that he knows about that it is the genetically transformed from generation to generation. So he mentioned about an ancient infective agent passing through the hundreds of generations and millions of the human organisms. That is what our genetic code, having some adapted system, and that adaptations in the form of a defense mechanism in the forms of the miasmatic process. So this is what he mentioned about an ancient infecting agent passing through hundreds of generations and the millions of the organisms and attaining at an incredible development and rendering it morbid to give a great variety of chronic disease, secondary symptoms of the SORA. So that is what development of the SORA. So he further mentions that this passage of infectious agent, which has brought about the change in the disease, has also brought about the corporeal changes. This changes secondary to SORA coupled with the original soric miasm makes the injured cell respond differently to produce variety of defects which are more dangerous. Now see the how foresighted Hahnemann was, and he has actually written about the genes and genetic inheritance and also the genetic mutations 200 years ago. This was the era of psychosis. In this era, especially between 1950 to 1980, the people suffer more from the psychotic disease like the hypertension, hyperlipidemia, diabetes, ischemic heart disease, obesity, gout, etc. Statistics show that the more number of the people die due to heart attack than the cancer or any other infectious disease. So in short, the vaccination brought down the number of the deaths due to infectious and the viral disease SORA. But this gave a way to more hidden, more obscure, and more insidious and more chronic form of the disease, like the one mentioned above. So gain in the material and the shallowness in the principle become the order of the day. So this is what the psychosis is. This was the era of psychosis. Gain in the material and the shallowness in the principle become the order of day. After the 80s, the man started conquering the unseen. He went to the extent of controlling the electromagnetic waves, which his senses were never gifted to see nor to control, nor was made capable by Almighty to use it for any means. But he made a technology to make use of electromagnetic waves, radio waves, telephone waves, etc., to break the bound of his limited existence. Thus, he had now at his command the remote control, the cellular phones, and the e-world, the internet world. When man is rich goes beyond his bound, this he is entering into syphilitic world. If there is a boundary, there is a sora. If it is a boundary is crossed or lost, then it is called as a syphilis. That means when we understood the website, the network connections, the web, then the cloud. So the cloud is having no boundary. The name is cloud, but having no boundary. So this is something called as enter into the technologically we enter into the world of syphilis. The war of destructions with the mass destructive weapons and the chemical weapons started getting discovered. The terrorism has been started. So terrorism increase in every nooks and corner of the world. Hijacking, bombarding, mass killing have become the order of the day. Even the youngster love movies having a war, fluffer, hideous faces, weirdity, horror, etc. So this movie depict distorted versions or the perverted versions of the classes. These all are the syphilitic in nature. So nowadays you can think of the Gen Z generations. The Gen Z generations is going toward the destructions. They are found to be working in the weird world. They love these weird things and the strange things. They love these horror things and everything. The imaginations go beyond the realm of the reality to depict the Martians with one eye, human dematerializing and materializing, laser cutting through the space to enter another unseen dimensions, etc. Teenagers hate classical music and opt for the breakdown, frequently discotheques and dancing in the frenzy or the freaking out till early hours of dawn. They tend to become a night creatures, sleeping during day and freaking during night, with the distortions of the conscience and destructions of the morality and the perversion of the sexuality. These all are called as the syphilis. No work, no study, all play and all joy happens to be their theme. They grow up without directions. They can never get solace and peace in their life. They hunt for it, become paranoid, depressed, cling to drugs. Some opt for the wrong fanatic religiousness, all of which invariably take him to his doom. This is the miasm of destruction or syphilis which rules today. So this is what our Vijayakar sir has written this in 2000 20 years, 20, 25 years back. Right now, this is something you can think that this is the era is going on right now. And that is what again the far-sightedness of Dr. Vijayakar also tell us that we are entering into the syphilitic era. So this is what you have to understand that how the teenager goes into this. So all this is the syphilis. Maximum number of the patient now suffer from the destructive disease, the disease like a cancer, the motor neuron disease, the obsessive disorders, the psychosis, the insanity, the autism, the mutism, the Parkinson disease, the chronic renal failures, leukemias, and the suicides are the number one killer today. So again, the era went into the process called as a destruction. So we all are understanding that the era also transforming from the sora to the psychosis and also syphilis. The same way the disease also transformed from the sora to the psychosis to the syphilis. So we all have to understand that we are our nature also bring us to certain process. So thus the world moves in a circle, the circle of the sora, psychosis and syphilis. So this is what we have to understood in this. So this conclude our book of the end of my assumptions of miasm. So I must advise all of you to see the miasm in nature, see the miasm in the behavior, see the miasm in the dream, see the miasm in the patient, see the miasm in the what we called as the family development also. Then and then your eye of miasm or then and then the compass of miasm help you to understand the disease and understand the patients in the better sense. So this is what you have to keep in a mind, that this miasm is nothing but a taint. It is not like that, but it is our defense mechanism either at the physical level, at the general level, or at the psychical level also. Same way it is true to the nature also. That's why the Hahnemann has said that the discovery of homeopathy is not so important rather than the discovery of miasm is the important discovery, and that is what the best part of homeopathy is. So this is what our conclusion to this, and the sir has used, these are the books sir has used to understand the miasm with his books. So you can go through this bibliography from these books, and then you can also understand that how the miasm is. So we have concluded the book on the miasms, and hope you all get the idea of the journey of this 24 days of learning from miasm from the 1st Feb to the 24th Feb. So you can get that this journey of daily learning help you to upgrade your knowledge and also your understanding. So tomorrow we will have question answer sessions, and I will share a link of tomorrow's sessions in afternoon, so you all can get access to that tomorrow's sessions. Most probably our tomorrow sessions will be from the 9 to 11 a.m. in the morning session, so all can have a good time on Sunday to learn and enjoy. And many of you have said questions regarding the approach of the disease. So tomorrow I will brief you something about the approach of the disease, then understanding of the genetic constitutional simillimum, that is the GCS, and someone has asked about the understanding of the PCS, the pathological constitutional simillimum, which I have learned from Vijayakar sir, and also I have something to be made. So that is what I am going to give you idea about that, and that will help in your clinical practice. So tomorrow we will have a question answer sessions, and hope you all enjoy this series of learning. And our day after tomorrow, kindly send me your number to my WhatsApp, so we'll add and share a group link so that you can get the access to tomorrow's session. Uh, Hope you enjoy this reading sessions, and we will continue these sessions from the 1st of the March, so that we will start with the another book of Dr. Vijayakar sir, and that is most probably a practical workshop of Dr. Vijayakar sir. Uh, okay, send me your name details on my this number so you can get link also for the tomorrow. And most practical workshop book we will starting from the 1st of the March is the book on verbatim. So verbatim is a workshop conducted by the Dr. Vijayakar in 2004. And this workshop is conducted by the team of predictive homeopath in 2004. And that understanding gives us the basic idea of how predictive homeopathy works with the simple understanding of the case, so you can get the access to this, and that is what you can understand in a better way. Hope you enjoy this learning sessions, and I hope you conclude. Yeah, I have idea of posology. We'll share, Dr. About the brief idea about the posology, which I am using in my clinical practice, and what I learned from the predictive homeopathy. See, something which you have to keep in a mind that uh, the I have learned lot of things from the predictive homeopathy, and the source wisdom. There are the mistakes which I had done. So if you found that something which is not working for you, that is not the fault of predictive homeopathy. That is fault of my not understanding in a proper way. So that is what keep in a mind, that be sure that you have to understand and take in a right sense. Okay, and apply this in clinical practice so you can get the idea about that things. Hope you all enjoy the learnings, and we will continue our sessions from the 1st of March. So tomorrow we will have a question answer session, then we will have 3 4 days rest, and then again we will start with the another new link from the 1st of March. So you all get the access in the group, so you can get the idea of that. Okay. Send me your detail to my WhatsApp number, not in this Zoom link. So thank you so much being with me. Since last 2 months, we have started this journey of reading books, and that helped me also, and that even I can learn from all of you, and that helped me to upgrade my knowledge. So thank you all for helping me to upgrade myself, and thank you all for that. And thank you being with me in the journey of learning. Sir always says that sharing is the caring. So I advise all of you, like one of the movie you have seen in the Jai Ho movie. The Jai Ho movie said that if you are benefited from this, you can give it to 3 people, so that the same knowledge has been replicated to all of others. So this is what you have to do in this sense. So share source knowledge, and this wisdom will help you to get everything from the nature. So nature always bless you. Thank you all. Thank you so much. And tomorrow we will have a wonderful sessions on question answers. I will share few of the queries, and if uh, many questions left, then we will conduct another question answer sessions later on. So you will get your answers. No worry about it. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you all.